everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenny and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Honeybird Studio. Today I have a very exciting video. Like everyone else on knitting YouTube, I'm going to be talking about my fall knitting plans for 2025. But very quickly before I go into my fall plans for this year, I wanted to do a little update of my fall plans from last year. So if you haven't already checked out that video or you didn't see it last year, I'll link it down below if you're curious to see what my goals and inspiration and patterns that I chose for last year. That's all in that video, but I wanted to go over real quick of those patterns which ones I actually completed. So I've got a little infographic. Well, not like infographic. I just have a picture here of all the patterns that I wanted to knit, and then I checked off the ones that I completed. I X'd out the ones that I didn't even cast on, and then I put an asterisk next to the ones that have a little bit of a caveat to them, I suppose. So anyways, I'll put the picture on the screen here, and as you can see, there are 12 projects. I was quite ambitious last year, and I feel like I'm going to be very ambitious this year as well, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so the first project on the list is the Trinigan by Andrea Mowry, and I completed this one, so that's one down. 11 more to go. No. But yeah, so the Trinigan, I finished that one. The next one was the Cardigan by Irene Lin, and I was knitting this one for the Irene Lin KAL from last year. And so, like, by the way, if you are interested in participating in the Irene Lin Knitalong for this year, there's still a coupon code that's active for the for any pattern from Irene Lin. So I'll put that information down below as well. So if you want to participate in the Irene Lin Knitalong this year and you haven't purchased a pattern yet, you can use the discount code Jenny30 for 30% off of Irene Lin's patterns. I think it's a one-time use, but yeah, and that coupon is valid until September 30th. So yeah. Anyways, sorry, I'm like talking a lot with my hands. Anyway, so the Cardigan, I managed to finish. I actually didn't finish until early January of this year. So, but I'm still counting it because I did technically finish it. It was like maybe a couple weeks after the winter solstice. So anyways, the next pattern that I wanted to cast on for last year is the jacket number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And this one is technically still in progress. I have one sleeve left to do and all of the ends to weave in. So that one is going to be carried over into this year because I put it on hold back in January or February because it's a heavy wool that I'm using, and once the weather started warming up, I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna wear it once I finish it. So I've put it on hold until the fall, basically. The next pattern that I cast on is the sweater number 20, and this one was technically for my younger sister. She bought the yarn for this. I think I used Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino held with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair, and so this one I cast on for the fall, and I finished, I think it was like very late fall, or it was like mid-December, I think, because I don't think I got this to my sister, and I don't think I finished it and gave it to my sister until just before Christmas. So, but again, another pattern checked off. The next one after that is the Bay Wrap sweater, and this is a sweater by Shayla Kang. And this one had a bit of a false start because I originally wanted to knit it out of the Scapia's Scrumptious DK, or Scrumptious something, which is like a recycled plastic yarn, or partially recycled plastic. And I initially cast it on and I finished the back panel and started the front, one of the front pieces, and I just really didn't like the way that the yarn felt in my hands. It was extra squeaky, because it is recycled plastic. It's like, you know, kind of like how acrylic yarn can get a little bit squeaky. It just, the hand feel, it wasn't a pleasant sensation, and so I ended up ripping that out, and I purchased Drops Lima, which I think is a alpaca merino blend. And so I knit the Bay Wrap sweater out of that. Yeah, and I managed to finish that one. I actually filmed an entire vlog for it, but a lot of the footage was unusable because the lighting was very bad. So I scrapped that. Anyways, the sixth pattern that I wanted to knit was the Harlow sweater V-neck by Caidree. And this one did not get cast on at all. This one it was more of a, I'd like to knit it, but the other patterns were more interesting to me than knitting a stockinette sweater. So I put that one on the back burner and just never cast it on. The next pattern I knit was the Sporty Knit Skort by Florence Miller. And this one has a little bit of an asterisk next to it because I technically finished all of the knitting, but I messed up on the shorts that go inside. I knit them about an inch too short, so it's very uncomfortable to actually wear the skirt, or like the shorts, the short portion of the skirt. The skirt itself I tried on before I added the shorts, and the skirt is perfectly okay. So I think to fix this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip the shorts out and just leave it at the skirt. I think that would be the easiest thing to do, because as much as I like the shorts on the inside, I just don't want to knit them again. If I was to knit the Sporty Knit Skort for a third time, I would pay more attention to my row gauge, because I think what happened is my row gauge was shorter than the gauge in the pattern, and I hadn't taken that into consideration when I was doing the shorts. So now I know for next time. The next pattern was the Half and Half Triangle Wrap by Purl Soho. And this one, I technically have finished all the knitting, but I initially did not have enough yarn to knit the full size, and so I think I cast on 20 less stitches or so. And so the end result for my shawl is, it's workable, but it's just slightly too short to wear it the way that I like to wear it, where it's like the triangle, the points in the front, and then the tails on the sides here. To fix the Half and Half Triangles wrap for me, what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of extra yarn, just enough left over to make tassels to add to the points of the shawl, and I'm hoping that that will fix the issue of the points of the shawl falling off my shoulder or off my shoulders, making it uncomfortable or almost unwearable. I mean, it's wearable. It just, I have to keep adjusting it to, sorry, I keep doing these motions. I'm like grabbing not the tassels, but the points. And anyway, sorry, I keep talking with my hands. So there we go. So yeah, so that was the Half and Half Triangle wrap. The next pattern was the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague, and this one I had a few issues with because I misread my gauge. I think it's because in the pattern you read your gauge as you go and you make adjustments, or you do the increases based on your gauge. So I knit mine out of fingering weight yarn, and initially I increased too many stitches, and so the hat was too big. Like I made the first half of the hat, and then when I was looking at it, I'm like, there's no way. Like, so I measured my gauge again after knitting like quite a few inches of the body of the hat. Yeah, and it was gonna be almost an entire 2 inches too big, or something. Was it like an inch or two? And so I cast on, so I started again and did too few stitches, and so I kind of landed on a number in between. I did write it down, so when I knit another Musselburgh, I know exactly how many stitches to increase with fingering weight yarn at my gauge on the needle sizes that I use. I think my personal gauge is pretty consistent between yarns, or like specific weights of yarn. Maybe? Anyways, that might be when I knit it again, I will be aware of my gauge and make adjustments if I need to. But anyways, so that was the Musselburgh. The Musselburgh is actually twice on this list because I had I had wanted to knit two of them. I wanted to knit my black one, and I wanted to knit a pink one, but the pink one did not come to fruition. I didn't even cast it on. So the next pattern was the Cable Dad Mittens And technically I didn't, this one has an asterisk as well, because technically I did knit like 6 pair of fingerless mittens, but I didn't knit this pattern. I actually had a personal, like my own design in mind for some fingerless mittens, and so I knit like 6 pairs of it, and I had written down the pattern on a piece of paper, but I never got around to actually typing it up and formatting an actual pattern to have tech edited and test knit. So a little foreshadowing for future, maybe like for the future, or for further into this video, I will be talking more about those fingerless mittens. And then the last pattern that I wanted to cast on was the Hearthome socks by Wool and Pine. And I was very ambitious about this one, thinking that if I liked knitting these and wearing these, that I would knit multiple of them for family members for Christmas. That never happened. So yeah, I think that is all 12, right? I think I went through the list. So that was, again, 12 patterns that I had wanted to cast on and knit last year for my fall knitting plans. And of those 12, I finished 6. Well, technically I finished 8 of them. 2 of them need fixing, and 1 of them is in progress, and then the other 3 I didn't cast on at all. So, okay. So with that out of the way, now I want to talk about this year's fall knitting plans. Okay, so this is my bin of ambitions. This bin contains all of the yarn that I want to knit for projects this fall, and I think when I calculated out how many, I didn't calculate the yardage, I just calculated out how many grams of yarn I have in here, and in total I think it was 3,700 grams of yarn of various different weights. I think everything from, I think I have fingering to worsted weight. I think, yeah, not a huge range, fingering to worsted weight. And I just think I am being ambitious for sure. I think it's better to, I don't know. I feel like because last year I did technically finish 9 projects of the 12, I think this year I can finish another 9 projects. Yeah. So anyways, let's get into these. Okay, so for this year, I have 9 patterns that I'd like to knit this year for the fall. And so I have made an infographic, or not an infographic, sorry, I keep saying that. I've made a picture, a grid of the things that I want to knit this year. And so I'm just looking at it on my phone so I can remind myself. And so I'll put it on the screen here, and then I'll talk about each of the patterns and my outfit inspiration for most of them. Yeah. I think I took some pictures of outfit inspiration. Yeah, and I'll put them on the screen. Anyways, so here's the image. So I've got 9 patterns here, and I think this is a pretty reasonable amount of patterns. I've got 2 cardigans, a sweater, a wrap type of sweat, like a wrap sweater, like a ballerina sweater. I'm not sure what they're called. I'm going to say it's like a wrap sweater. And then I have 2 vests, 1 pair of socks, 1 hat, and 1 design, which is a pair of fingerless mittens, as you can see. Well, yeah, I'll show you what they look like later. Okay, so let's get into the first pattern. This one is something you will recognize because it is the Trinigan by Andrea Mowry. I knit this one last year as part of my fall knitting plans, and I don't remember if I talked about it, but I have I had 4 or 5 skeins left of the color changing yarn, and I was like, well, what am I going to do with it? I was like, well, I really like wearing my Trinigan. I wore it so much throughout the fall, or sorry, throughout like the winter, spring, and even the summer when it was cooler, on the cooler days, because it's such a perfect, I don't know, it fits well, and it just seems like such a comfy, cozy cardigan to put on. And because of the shorter sleeves, I don't have to worry about it, like any sleeves getting in the way. And it's open, it doesn't button up or anything, it's just an open cardigan, which I really like. So anyways, so I'm going to knit another Trinigan. I'm going to make the same modifications as the first one, in that I'm knitting it with DK weight yarn. And so I have to go up to a size 4 in the pattern, but I'm going down to a size 4mm needle, I think, for the body, and 3.5mm needle for the ribbing. I think it's originally written for worsted weight on a 5mm needle. So I had figured out my gauge last year, and assuming my gauge is relatively similar, I'm going to use the same needle sizes as I used for the first one. And if I'm off by a stitch or two, that's going to be fine, because there's a lot of positive ease, so I don't mind either way if I have more or less. The yarn I'm going to use is the same yarn as last year, actually. I'm going to use as the main color the Barocco Vintage DK, and this is in a light purple. So, sorry, my lighting is not great, but it's a light purple, and so I'm going to use this as the main color. And then for the contrast color, I'm using this Mountain Colors hand-painted yarn, so it's this color changing. It's very subtle, like it's barber pulled. I think like the main color, actually I guess it changes throughout. It's like dark blues, purples, and kind of like greens. There's a little bit of like lighter spots on it too, and then there's like more purples, more blues. I'm actually curious, what is this? Oh, I see. Okay, so it's 85% merino and 15% silk. And so I think what you're seeing here is these lighter strands in here are the silk, and so they take the dye differently than the merino does. Sorry. Focus. Yeah, so like there's lighter, so where the colors are, it's just lighter purple on purple, or like lighter blue on the darker blue. In any case, I think these two will look really good together. It's more of I feel like this would be more of a spring palette, but I want to use yarn from my stash for my fall knitting plans, so this is what I'm going with. And I had plans for this. Like, I bought this yarn specifically to go with this yarn so I could knit the Trinigan again. I just happened to want to knit it now instead of wait until the spring to knit it. So yeah, so that is the first pattern that I want to cast on. Oh, and then also my outfit inspiration for the Trinigan is essentially the same as last year's inspiration, in which case I have a nicer pair of jeans. Last year my outfit inspiration was like these baggy, ripped jeans, light wash jeans. But this year I have a pair of like wide-legged, light wash jeans, my beige runners, I think, or like my beige shoes, and a white t-shirt. I just really like the overall vibe of like this laid back kind of casual look to go with the Trinigan. So like when I wear the Trinigan that I knit last year, I generally tend to wear it with a plain colored shirt and light wash jeans, because I feel like the pattern, like the mosaic color work on the pattern, is enough interest for the eye to look at that I don't want to take away from it by wearing anything with like anything that's too busy. Like something like this, I wouldn't wear like anything with a pattern on it. So yeah, so that was the inspiration the inspiration outfit for the Trinigan. Yeah, so the next pattern I want to talk about it's called Letho, and this is a pattern by Natasja Hornby. And this is a pattern that I've had in my favorites for quite a while now. What drew me to this pattern is two things. One is the color work on the back, like down the center of the back. And two is the construction of this cardigan. Because like the way that I haven't bought the pattern yet, so I don't know exactly how it's constructed, but I did look through the pattern pages, and it looks like it's knit, like you knit one side from like the sleeve, I'm assuming from the sleeve to the center of the back. I'm assuming like you cast on stitches. Once you finish the sleeve, I think you like cast on stitches for the body portion. I could be wrong. And then you knit like the first half of the cardigan, and then you do the same thing for the other side. And I'm assuming that you seam it up the middle, or there might be like a 3-needle bind off down the center back. That would be my assumption. So I'm really intrigued by this. I feel like I've done a lot of like raglan construction, circular yokes, and a lot of drop shoulder patterns. Like of all the constructions for tops that I've knit, I find the saddle shoulders and drop shoulders fit my upper body shape the best. And raglan as well, like raglan construction also works well for me. Circular note, oh my gosh, I can't even say circular yokes. Circular yokes I have yet to knit one that sits well on my body, on my upper body shape, because I'm wondering if it's because I like tend to roll my shoulders inwards that I get a lot of puckering in this area here. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe that's just because I don't have short rows in the back, or maybe I need short rows in the front. I don't know. I kind of gave up on circular yokes a long time ago, or a while ago. Anyway, so let's go back to the Letho cardigan. So for this pattern, my outfit inspiration is essentially the same as the Trinigan. I feel like this is going to be like a kind of more casual cardigan that I'm going to wear, or like wear with more casual clothing. And so it would be the same outfit, the blue jeans, white t-shirt, or just any sort of plain colored t-shirt. I even have a gray t-shirt that I could probably wear with this. And then depending on how I feel, whichever shoes I decide to wear. The yarn that I'm going to use for this is Patton's Classic Wool Worsted, and these are the 3 colors. I basically wanted to get as close to the pattern in like the colors that she used in her pattern, or like the designer used in their pattern. So I chose, my main color is this. It's kind of like an oatmeal color. What is this? This is called Natural Mix. So it's like a more natural brownish oatmeal color. And then for my contrast colors, I just have black and white. And so I got, I think I have like 6 balls of this, and then I have I have 2 of each of these because they were left over from other projects. So I'm really looking forward to knitting this cardigan. Like I said, the construction really intrigues me. So I'm wondering, yeah, I think I'll be casting on the cardigans first because they're more appropriate for the seasonal change, like the going from summer to fall and like early to mid fall. And then my next pattern that I want to cast on is the Porcelain sweater by Lynette or Lene Home Samso. And I feel like this was a very popular pattern last year, or like sometime in the last year or so. Many people, I've seen a lot of knitting YouTubers and on Instagram, people have knit this pattern, and it has always intrigued me because I'm just curious about knitting colorwork flat. I have not knit a lot of colorwork, and I don't think I've done I haven't done like the stranded colorwork knitted flat where you carry the floats on the purl side. So I feel like this is another project where the construction is part of the intriguing part. I know a lot of people have said that they don't like knitting colorwork flat, so I'm just curious to have my own experience with that. So I'll let you know how I feel about that when I get to it. Oh yeah, the yarn, I think, okay, also the outfit inspiration for this one, I didn't take a picture of because I don't know. I feel like I would probably wear leggings or my jeans with this sweater. I just feel like it's a very casual, or like I would be wearing this with more casual pants, like yeah, jeans or leggings, not necessarily skirts. I don't know. I don't generally wear skirts with big sweaters. So anyways, let me get the yarn for this one. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention is like I feel like I'm not really an on-trend knitter. I don't typically knit the things that are currently trending in the knitting world. I tend to if I'm gonna knit the trendy things, I generally end up knitting them like a year or 2 after the fact. So I feel like the trendy sweater right now is the other one by, I'm pretty sure it's hold on, I gotta look this up. Okay, I'm surprised I forgot the name of the sweater. It's so simple. It's the Rosy Sweater by Knit. And I feel like I've seen that sweater in a lot of fall knitting plan videos. And while I like the look of this sweater, it's not, I don't know, it's not as intriguing to me as the Porcelain sweater. And so, anyways, the yarn that I want to use for the Porcelain sweater is this Drops Sky. I got this on clearance. I think I got them for like $4. A donut, essentially. So my main color is going to be this light pink. So this one here. And my contrast color is going to be this darker pink. So I think, I don't know, I think it would be really cute to have a pink sweater. And I feel like this would be an interesting yarn to knit with. I've always wanted to try this yarn. It's like a chain. I'm pretty sure this is called like a chainette yarn. It's like, it looks like a chain. It's very light and lofty, so I'm curious to see how this will knit up, especially like in a full sweater. I feel like this will be like a very light sweater, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm not entirely sure if I have enough yarn, but I do think that I don't want as much positive ease in the sweater as is recommended. I think when I looked at it, I think I would be knitting I'd be knitting a size smaller than I would be if I was to go with the recommended amount of ease, if I remember correctly. So I think I should have enough yarn. I also I don't know. If I need to, I think what I'll do is, like, I'll knit on the body to a certain point, and then I'll knit the sleeves. Like, I want full-length sleeves. And if I need to, I actually don't think I'd mind cropping the sweater. But we'll see how it goes. I have 5 of these and 2 of these, I think. So I think it'll work, because I did check someone else. Like, I was looking at the project pages trying to gauge how much yarn I would need, because I think this yarn is technically thinner than what's recommended, maybe? I don't know. I just remember having something that I had to do a little bit of research to kind of gauge how much yarn I would need. But yeah, so that is for the Porcelain sweater. The next pattern I want to talk about is a wrap style sweater, and this is the Theodore wrap by Johanna Gehrisch. So for this one, I think I've had this on my wish list, or not my wish list, in my favorites, at least for 2 years, because I remember going to Fibers West. Oh yeah, I think it was last year I went to Fibers West thinking I would buy yarn for this sweater, and I think even Knit City 2023, I think, was the first time I wanted, like, when I initially added this to my favorites. I think it was Knit City 2023 where I was anticipating buying yarn for this pattern, but I didn't. And then Fibers West 2024 came, and I was going to buy yarn for this pattern, but I didn't. And so when I was preparing my list of fall knitting plans, I was going through yarn that I have in my stash, and basically I think I can get away with this. I think I'm going to knit the Theodore wrap in this Estelle Alpaca Mist. So it's this really beautiful, okay, my lighting, come on. It's a really nice, like, jewel tone purple. It's a deep, yeah. Well, maybe it's like more burgundy. Oh, my lighting in here is not the best, but it's like a purple. Oh, that's kind of closer to it. It's a deep purple. It's like a jewel tone. In any case, I have, again, I don't know if I'm going to have enough of this, but we'll see. But yeah, this is technically, I think the gauge on this was on 4 to 5 millimeter needles is 18 to 20 stitches. And I think when I was looking at the Theodore wrap, because I think in the pattern it's 2 yarns held together, and I think this would technically be about that weight. I'm definitely gonna gauge swatch with this to see where I land for the pattern, because I am determined to knit this pattern. I really want to knit it. I think it's super beautiful. The outfit inspiration for this wrap is my long black skirt with the black, like, the polka dots on the sheer outer fabric. I'm wearing a black t-shirt in this just because, like, when I finish the Theodore wrap, I probably would likely only just wear it over a camisole. Depending on how deep the V is, like, I could probably get away with just wearing the wrap by itself, instead of having a t-shirt underneath. But I'm really excited about this look because I feel like it would be a really nice, like, I want this to be done by the winter because I feel like that outfit to me kind of is more of a winter outfit than a fall outfit because of the color. Like, it's more on the dark and moody side because of black skirt and a dark top. So I'm looking forward to this. The other thing too is the lace detail that's on the collar, not the collar, but like the trim basically on this pattern looks really dainty and cute and just so feminine, and I love that touch. Sorry, I'm waving this yarn around. I just really like that final touch, and I'm wondering, I'm gonna knit the entirety of the wrap, and if I have enough yarn left over, I don't know, I feel like this yarn has quite a bit of halo. When I knit my gauge swatch, I'll see how much I'll knit a little bit of lace in my gauge swatch just to see if the halo obscures the lace work. Because if it does, then what I could do is, I don't know if I have any purple yarn. Well, what is this? No, that's too thick. But if I need to knit the trim in a different yarn, then I wouldn't be opposed to ordering something else just to finish the trim. Something that's less halo-y than this. But anyways, that's my plan for the Theodore wrap. The next pattern I want to knit is called Leah, and this is a vest style slipover by Sandy Prosser. And for this one, I actually have the paper pattern. Let me go grab that. Okay, so for this pattern, oh my gosh, is the ice cream truck going by? I don't know if you can hear that, but ice cream truck. Okay, so for this pattern, I actually bought the paper, like I won't show the inside, but the paper copy of this pattern. The yarn shop that I got this from unfortunately closed, and they were having a clearance sale, and so this was 50% off. So I think I paid $2.50 for this pattern. But yeah, sorry, I keep moving it around. I'll put a picture on the screen, but it's essentially the same picture. So this is a all over cable and textured vest that ties, it looks like I'm not sure if the armholes connect all the way around, and then it's got, no, I assume you knit, maybe it's got tie closures. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't read through the pattern yet, but anyways, this is probably the first time that I can remember off the top of my head that I intentionally bought the yarn recommended for this pattern, or like for a pattern in general. The yarn was sitting right next to the paper pattern for this, and so I bought exactly the yarn recommended, which is the Mirasol Inca, and it's this one here. Oh my gosh, it looks so pretty. It's a very, very light pink, and I believe it's actually the same color that's in the pattern itself. It recommends the recommendation for this pattern is to hold 2 of these to get gauge. So it's a very fine weight. I want to say, I guess it's a fingering. It's very, oh yeah, I guess it's a fingering. What does it say on here? Does it say on the ball? For 75 grams, it's 405 meters or 442 yards. So maybe that's more of a sport weight, right? Maybe. Anyways, so I bought the yarn. I'm getting derailed here. So I bought the yarn. I've already said that. So I am looking forward to knitting this. The outfit inspiration for this is probably the cutest. Okay, I've said that about a lot of my outfits, but like this is my newest addition to my wardrobe, is this brown pattern skirt and a white blouse with like kind of puffy sleeves, and I'm wearing it with my brown boots, my wedge heel boots. This outfit is just my favorite thing right now. It's totally feels like a fall outfit to me, and I feel like this vest over top of this would be just the cherry on top, essentially. So I think this might be one of the first things I cast on, because I think a vest would be very appropriate for this time of the season, or like the early, sorry, it's not even technically fall yet, but like the transitional part of summer going into fall, and like the first month and a half or so, like basically until the end of October. I mean, I could wear vests whenever I want. It's honestly, they're very versatile. But I feel like for this outfit specifically for the fall, I want this vest so I can wear it in the seasonally appropriate, or in the appropriate season, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so that is the first vest I want to knit. The second vest I want to knit is it's called Sabia, and this is by Esti Huango. And I was looking specifically for a pattern of, I was specifically looking for a vest for this yarn. Okay. Let me grab it. So I think it was like a month ago, a friend of mine invited me to a yarn swap with a couple of her friends, and so there was like maybe a half a dozen of us. We all got together and brought yarn to swap and just have a fun afternoon of like talking about knitting, and well, knitting, talking about knitting, and swapping yarn essentially. So it was really fun. So I destashed a good amount of yarn, I suppose, but I also brought yarn in, and the yarn that I brought in was 4 balls of this West Yorkshire Spinners Air Valley Aran. And when I knit a swatch with this, it actually it was knitting up for me. I had to go down. What does this even say? Does it say the needle size? It says to knit on a 5mm needle, but it was so gappy that I went down to like a 4mm needle. And even then, I think I could technically get away with a smaller needle. Anyways, so when I was looking for a pattern to go with this yarn, I landed on this vest. And what drew me to this vest, I think it was a recent release. Hold on, let me double check that. Yeah, so this pattern was released just last month in August. And what drew me to this pattern is the design, the lace, and okay, basically it's like the lace, the baubles, and the cables. So there is down the front center, and I think it might be on the back as well, this beautiful motif of like this, it looks like a cabled leaf motif with some baubles in it, and then it's surrounded by columns of knit stitches and lace columns. There's something about just, I love all over texture, and this really spoke to me. And so I don't know, I just really want this in my wardrobe. And the outfit inspiration for this one is, what did I do for this one? Oh yeah, it's a black skirt and a black blouse, button-up blouse. And basically I feel like I'm going for like the dark and moody, like I have dark and moody vibes, and I feel like this is like a dark purple. I feel like this would kind of go really well as a vest over top of an all black outfit, just as like not a pop of color in the sense of like, you know, out there, like, bright color, but like just adding a little bit of color to the outfit. So it's not like, it's like a subtle color, I suppose, because it is a dark purple. I feel like it would look really dark and moody and like a little bit gothy. I don't know, I have this sort of thing in my wardrobe where I have like very casual outfits that I wear, like that's my most my most worn clothing is like very casual stuff. But then when I like to dress up in my knitwear, it goes one of two ways. Usually it's either very feminine and bright, not like bright, but like lighter colors, pinks and beige, whites, whatever. So it's like more light and airy looking. Or I go dark and moody with like all dark colors, like all black. A lot of my skirts are black. And then I have like a couple of button-up blouses that are dark, generally darker colors, except now I have a white one, so I'm so excited about that. But yeah, so it's like the dark and moody or the light and airy look. Essentially, it's like opposite ends of the spectrum. But yeah, so that's a lot to say about that pattern. Yeah, so those are the vests. I think that's it for garments. The next 3 projects are all accessories. So the next pattern I want to talk about is a pair of socks called the Cat Love socks. And this is a pattern by Andrea Human. And I first saw these socks on a Lovely Day Knits knitting channel, who is Alicia. And if you don't know about her channel, you should absolutely check her out. She is so, like, I feel like her enthusiasm for knitting is so infectious, and it makes me feel so excited to be knitting. And basically, I don't know, she brings a whole new, like, because I think she's a relatively new knitter, she's like a fresh set of eyes on knitting, essentially. And so I love hearing her perspective on things, on different patterns and different constructions and anything that she knits on, basically, is so fascinating to watch, essentially. Anyways, so I'll link her channel below because she's absolutely lovely to watch. And yeah, so when she showed these patterns on one of her videos, I immediately added it to my queue, and I even went out and bought yarn specifically for this pattern. Let me grab that. So the yarn that I bought for this pattern, for these socks, is Sandnes Garn Sisu. And I got a dark, well, it's not really a dark brown. Oh, there you go. It's a darker brown and like an oatmeal, like beige color. And I believe I'm using this as my main color. No, hold on. What do I have in here? Yes, I'm using the brown as my main color and then the lighter color as my contrast color. And I'm super excited for these socks. I'm not normally a color work person. Like, well, I'm going to be doing the porcelain sweater, but I haven't knit a whole lot of color work stuff. And especially when it comes to socks, I've knit, I think it was called the Stardust socks. I knit those twice, and every sock that I knit, the first pair was like perfect. The second pair, I knit one like too tight and the other too loose, just ever so slightly. And so I think I figured out that, like, I knit the cuff on the 2.25mm needles, and for the color work, I actually have to go up to 2.75. So that's like 2 needle sizes up from my main, what am I trying to say? My main needle size. Because I tried to do it on 2.5mm needles, but even that was too tight. I guess because I knit socks on magic loop, I think I just don't quite have loose enough floats, I suppose. So going up to 2.75 is what works for me. But yeah, the color work on these socks is on the top and on the toe. I think, let me just scroll here. Yeah, so it's on the cuff and on the toe, and I believe I'll do the color work on both, because I think it's really cute on the toe to have I think it's like little hearts and the contrast color on the toe. So we'll see how I feel. I think the color work on the toe should be fine. It's the color work on the cuff that's difficult, because that's the part that has to get over your heel and onto your calf, or onto your leg, basically. And I have to figure out how many rows the leg portion is going to be, because I have large calves. I can't knit socks that are too tall, or else they get scrunched, basically, because my calves are too big for tall socks. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to knitting these socks. I believe I'm going to put my September socks on hold right now and cast on these socks in the next couple of days. The next pattern is a pattern that I knit last year that I knit one last year and the second one I didn't get around to casting on. And so this year I'm putting that pattern as my 8th plan for fall. So this one is the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. And I will be knitting this one out of Midnight Cravings yarn. So I'll be knitting this one out of Midnight Cravings on their silky sock base. So this is a base that I don't think they don't sell online. Like, they don't sell through their store online. This is an in-person base that they were selling at yarn festivals. So I picked this up at Knit City in 2023 with the intention of knitting the Musselburgh hat. And so it's only, 2 years later, and I'm finally going to cast this on. But this is a 75% superwash merino and 25% mulberry silk, and it is so soft. And I think it would be super cute to have a pink hat. And I think because I enjoy the fit of my Musselburgh that I knit last year, I feel like I can't miss if I was to cast on another one in this yarn. I've been very precious about this yarn because it was more expensive than like standard fingering yarn. I think this was like $40 Canadian or something like that. I just remember it being more expensive than any of the other yarns that were there at their booth. And so I've just been very precious with it because it needs to be in the perfect project. And honestly, like, I gotta stop being precious with my yarn because I buy it specifically so I can knit things with it, but then I don't because I'm like, oh, but what if I don't like the project? Well, it is just yarn. I can always rip it out and put it into something else. But because I've knit the Musselburgh once before, I know I like it, I know I like the fit, and I know I want this color hat. So yeah, so that is my 8th plan. And the final plan for the fall is going to be one of my own designs. And I alluded to this earlier in the video. So I wanted to knit the cable dad mittens last year, but instead I just had my own idea for a cable motif on a pair of fingerless mittens. And what I did was I charted out and I actually wrote out a pattern on a piece of paper for what I'm calling the Ridge Trail fingerless mitts. I might actually just go ahead and call them the Ridge Trail mittens, because I think what I might do is have two options, having the full mitten or having the fingerless version. So let me grab those. So for the Ridge Trail fingerless mittens, I'm hoping to have the pattern written up and tech edited and ready for testing by November. Fingers crossed, that's the plan. And so this is what they look like. So I knit this pair out of Midnight Cravings, their worsted yarn base. And I think the colorway was called Spiced Latte or Spiced Chai or something like that. But I love the speckles on this. Oh my gosh. Sorry, it's hard to push my sleeves. But this is the longer cuff version. So there's like an extra repeat of the motif before you start the thumb increases. But like, look at the speckles on that. It is so fun. I love these colors. And I don't, like, sometimes with speckled or with speckled yarns, you can sometimes lose the definition of the cables. But I feel like it works really well with this. Like, the way that the speckles is not like, they're not pooling anywhere, and it doesn't look like they're obscuring the cables. And then I made another version where it's right after you do the cuff, you start the thumb hole increase. And so this one I did with some leftover yarn. I think it was some alpaca yarn and an unlabeled mohair that I had. And so I prefer the shorter ones myself because I wear a Fitbit usually, and the longer ones don't work very well when you're wearing a watch or a Fitbit or something. So these mittens are the ones that I wore last year, and I think they've held up pretty well. Oh yeah, I don't think anything's I mean, they're a little fuzzy, but that's kind of a given with the mohair. But look how cute those are. So it's a very simple pattern. It's just the cable here and then 3 rows or 3 columns of slip stitches. It's just a standard fingerless mitten. It's funny too because I feel like when I first knit them up, I'm like, oh, that's so tiny. Like that is, oh, I don't know. They look very skinny, but like for gloves, you want to have negative ease so that they're not slipping off your hand. And I feel like that's like the perfect amount of ease. Like look how skinny it looks here, and then anyways. So these are going to be a pattern. Hopefully I will, like I said, have the pattern written, like typed up, formatted, tech edited, and then ready for testing in November. And then, I mean, it's a relatively quick knit, but I just want to make sure that I give my test knitters enough time to finish a pair, which I think a month would be enough time to knit a pair of mittens. I don't know, might be more than enough time, but I'm aiming for like a December release because I feel like this is something that's going more into the fall. But I will be knitting more of these throughout. Sorry, it's more of like a, what did I just say? These are great for the fall and the winter, and then the winter going into spring. And honestly, like anytime you need a pair of fingerless gloves, I wear mine all the time. I've got many pairs. I knit a bunch of these. I've got red ones. I've got more brown ones. And I've got the long pink ones. What is this? I knit 6 pairs. Actually, I knit more than 6 pairs. I knit probably 10 pairs. And I've been meaning to gift them away to people because I don't need this many for myself. I just really enjoyed knitting the pattern. And I was writing it and rewriting it on a piece of paper. I still haven't typed it up and formatted it into a document yet. So that's my next plan for that, or that's the next step for that pattern. But yeah, so that concludes the 9 fall knitting plans that I have for this year, but I also wanted to talk about 3 of the 3 projects that I have on my needles right now that I'm bringing into the fall that I would also like to that I would also like to finish before technically the end of the year. So let me go grab those. So for these 3 projects, I think one of them I technically started last year for my fall knitting plans. One of them I cast on, I think in January because I was inspired by one of my fall knitting plans from last year. And then the third one was something I cast on again, probably in January of this year that I just put on hold because it seems more of like a fall knitting pattern, or like a fall knitting, not garment. It's a shawl. Anyways, so that'll be the first one I talk about. So the first project I'm bringing out of hibernation to finish this fall is the Sedona Sunrise Wrap. And this is a pattern by Ashley Wemp. So I made a lot of progress on this earlier this year. I actually am just past the halfway point. This is a mosaic colorwork shawl, or like it's a mosaic colorwork shawl using 3 colors. And I have knit the first half. Oh wow, it looks so good on camera. I feel like in person the contrast between these 2 colors isn't very it's not very prominent, but on camera, well, even on camera, okay, from far away you can tell that there's the mosaic colorwork there, but I feel like when you get close up, it kind of, I don't know, something about it, you kind of lose the definition of the stitches, but like it's not as high contrast as the teal and the yellow. Anyways, so I finished the first half and I'm just starting the mosaic colorwork on the second half. So you see it just a little bit there. This is using yarn from my stash, from like my deep stash, probably I think from like 2019, 2020. What is this yarn? I don't even think I have the ball bands anymore because I wound up the yarn so long ago. I might have to do some deep. It might be in one of my junk drawers where I put like all my old ball bands. I'm hoping that I would have put it there. I want to say it was Anzula yarns, Squishy or Dreamy. That sounds a little familiar. If I remember while I'm editing, I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, so I've got 3 colors. I've got the gold and, oh, I'm showing you the wrong side. I've got the gold, I've got the teal, and then I've got this really nice purple. I just wish the purple was a little bit darker. But yeah, on the camera it does look really good though. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think I could finish this relatively quickly. The color work is really, what's the word, the term, potato chippy. That's probably in the sense that like every time I do a row, I want to do the next row, and then I want to do the next row. The only boring part is when you're doing the garter stitches, or like the garter sections in between. That's where I kind of start to lose my interest, because it's like, oh, you gotta knit 20 rows of garter stitch, and but at the same time, it's kind of like motivating to just power through so I could get to the color work part again. But yeah, so that is the Sedona Sunrise wrap. I've got my purple yarn waiting to be attached when I get there. Yeah, so that's that one. The next pattern I'm carrying over from technically last fall knitting plans is the jacket number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And this one I knit out of a, oh gosh, it was an Italian yarn, something Filati Sport. I actually can't remember. Again, if I remember the name of the yarn, because I think it was one of those things where I got these from a D stash, and a lot of the balls didn't have labels on them. I mean, a bunch of them did have labels, but there's like a handful that don't, and I think I knit through all the ones with the labels, and the only ones I have left are the ones that didn't have the labels on the little donuts. But anyways, this is going to be hard to show on camera. It's a very dark blue, dark navy. But this is jacket number 2. I finished, I'm basically done. I say basically done. I have one more sleeve to go. I just really lost steam on this because of 2 reasons. One being there's about a bazillion ends to weave in, because each donut of yarn was only 50 grams, and I think each one was like 100 meters or something. And I've probably knit like 15 donuts into this thing already. Let me see if I can show you how many ends there are to weave in. If I turn it upside down, let me see, like there's a lot of ends in there. I know if I could do the mosaic, the boho style mosaic cardigan, and weave in those like 50 some odd ends, I did that over the course of a couple of days. I'm sure I can handle this one. Anyway, so I've knit the body, I knit one sleeve, I even knit the collar, the button band, I mean. The second reason why I lost steam on this is because I don't like, my gauge is totally off. Because I didn't even do the second set of decreases on the sleeve, because I was already getting to the point where it was, I don't know. Yeah, and I don't really like, I don't know if you can like see that, but like it seems like such a sharp decrease there. You're basically, I think what happened is like you're decreasing, oh, you can't even see, but there's like a cable here. You're decreasing in the cable pattern. And I think it's just where the cable decreases. It's just weird. I mean, it looks nice, but it's hard to see. My lighting's not great. But yeah, there's something about it that I didn't like, and so I kind of lost steam. But I think with blocking, this will be fine. Let me just put it on, because where the decrease is right now, pre-blocking, it's right at my elbow, and I feel like that's fine, because I mean, it's going to get, having an elbow is, what am I trying to say? Where this part is right here, it just gives that extra room for my elbow, and in which case, like, I'm not stretching the fabric, so I think that's gonna be okay. And then again, with blocking, it might settle itself out a little bit more. This thing weighs so much. I should probably weigh this on my kitchen scale just to see. Like, that's gotta be like at least a pound of yarn, maybe 2. Like, I feel like I could do bicep curls with this. But yeah, so that is the jacket number 2. And then the last project that I'm bringing into my fall knitting plans, that I've already cast on, is the sweater number 20 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And this one is in a similar position as the jacket number 2 in the sense that I've done most of the work. I just have one sleeve left. I actually just bound off the first sleeve today, this morning, because I just got really into the groove with it. And so this is my sweater number 20. And I've done my sleeve. And it looks like the sleeve looks very tight. But in my experience from blocking the sweater number 20 for my sister last year, not only does the drop shoulder drop a little bit more, but the sleeve does open up. Like, there's room for it to grow with blocking. The yarn that I use for this is Patton's Classic Wool Worsted, and I am just loving Patton's Classic Wool Worsted. Thank you, Faith, for introducing this to me, because I have always passed it up at Michael's or like the arts and crafts store, because I just assumed it was, because it was inexpensive, I assumed that it wasn't great. But it's great because it's inexpensive 100% wool. It used to be cheaper than the acrylic yarn, but now it's on par, like, with the same price as the acrylic yarn, with the like the worsted weight acrylic yarns at Michael's, which is a bummer. I'm certain this used to be like $4.99 a ball when I first started knitting, and now it's $7.99 a ball, or like a skein. Anyways, so I've done the majority of the work on this. Oh gosh, look at the cables. I love this so much. I love cables, and I was actually shocked when I was going through my fall knitting plans that I didn't have more cable projects, but I have a feeling that for my winter knitting plans, I'll be doing lots and lots more cables. Ooh, this smells good. Anyways. Oh, it's because I tried it on after I had put my lotion on. It smells like my lotion. Yeah, sorry, I keep fiddling around with it. Yeah, so this is sweater number 20, and I have a feeling that I'll be able to finish this very, very quickly. I don't think it'll take me very long to knit this, the last sleeve, the second sleeve. I think I picked this up yesterday, and the first sleeve was already halfway done, and I managed to knit the other half of the sleeve and bind it off in a day. So I think I could probably knit the second sleeve in maybe 2 days or so, and then I can have it. Oh, I wonder if I can finish it by Sunday, and then I can block this. Anyways, sorry, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so that is all of my fall knitting plans for this year. I hope that this wasn't too all over the place. I did have quite a few interruptions, so I apologize if the video gets a little choppy in editing. Or you won't see the editing part, but you'll see what I have done to edit the choppiness or the interruptions. Anyways, sorry. Let me compose myself. Yes, so that's it for my fall knitting plans for this year. I know it's very ambitious. There's technically a couple other like accessories that I want to knit, which is technically just a couple more pairs of socks. I'm trying to knit 1 pair of socks per month this year, and I'm falling a little bit behind this month, so that's okay. So if I get around to the socks, I'll have knit them. If not, I'm not prioritizing socks currently. Like for the fall, I would rather be knitting on my garments and my fall knitting plans. So yeah, what else can I say? I guess that's it. I hope maybe you found some inspiration in this video. I know I'm not really like I said earlier, I'm not really on trend, so I'm not like showing you all the hot patterns right now or what's on the, I guess like the hot right now page on Ravelry, but I feel like not everyone else, but like there's a lot of other fall knitting plan videos out there from other knitting YouTubers or knitting whatever on Instagram and on YouTube. Sorry. So yeah, so hopefully you found some inspiration, maybe something new to you, a new designer. Like for me, the Sabia vest is a new the designer Esti Huango is a new designer to me, so I'm curious to see like some of her stuff, because I really like that cable and lace motif. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Let me know down below what your fall knitting plans are, or like at least one of your fall knitting plans, or if you're going into the spring, maybe let me know what you're gonna be knitting on for the spring. Yeah. I think, oh gosh, ending a video is always, I don't know, I tend to trail off and I get really flustered when I'm ending a video. So I think that's, the more I talk, the more it's gonna, anyways, I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you again for watching. And until next time, happy knitting. Bye.